Okay, all set.
Sounds good. Okay, good evening and welcome. This is the January 5th, 2026 meeting of the school committee. I'd like to wish to call the meeting to order at 5:06, and I would ask that everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can start, please.
Caitlin Clark, student rep. Anna Flanagan, student rep. Heather Brown, assistant superintendent for teaching and learning.
Ray Thompson.
Gordon Smith, superintendent of schools.
Ann Snell, Pamela Blair, assistant superintendent for business.
Samantha Velasquez, secretary.
I move to approve the December 15th, 2025 regular session meeting minutes.
Motion made by Antonella.
Second.
Second by Amy. 5-0. Thank you, Samantha. Committee and subcommittee communications. Antonella, would you like to start?
I don't have anything right now.
So,
Thank you.
not really much to say as we just got off break, but before the break we had a pep rally. Every Friday. Over break we had a few alumni games and meets. We had basketball and swim, and then the senior quote.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
Caitlin, anything tonight? No. Okay, thank you. All right, moving right along, we have we will move forward with 5.1.1, discussion of interview question topics with Tracy Novick from the
Good evening.
Tracy, how are you?
I'm okay. I will say that the sound is going in and out a little bit for me, so I will make sure that I confirm anything that I'm taking from you. So I apologize for being remote, but training another school committee and superintendent evaluation in a bit. So
I will do our best with the audio.
Is it better?
it sort of swings in and out. I heard just the last half of what you said, that you'll do the best with the audio. I kind of haven't heard anything from the back corner at all, just to warn you ahead of time. But
Okay. How about now? You can hear me now, though?
I can hear you now. Yes,
Okay.
Thank you.
Would you like to start and send us in a direction, Tracy?
Yeah, so there's really, I think I would say two things to decide. One very straightforward this evening. One is what time you'd like the interviews to be next Thursday, essentially a week from Thursday. I don't know if you want to start them at 5, have the second one at 6:30, and then go from there, or if you want to do a different schedule than that. But I did get asked by one of the finalists today. And then the other thing is for you all to brainstorm and then agree upon the topics for the interview.
Does 5 and 6:30 work for the committee and the members, everyone? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 and 6:30 is great. Tracy, just in terms of the rest of the schedule, we have the two candidates visiting us next week.
Yes.
That is Monday and Wednesday. Is that correct?
I had this all off the top of my head, and then we all went to vacation, and now I don't have
We all have to relearn it.
Monday and Wednesday, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
And do we have time for their arrivals? Did you schedule their arrival time?
So I've been working with Pam and with Samantha to actually get their calendar together. I know everybody's calendar on the Monday after winter break. Everyone's email is inundated on the Monday after winter break. So I was going to check back in around tomorrow to see where we're at with that.
Okay.
Are we able to?
They are both planning on the length of a school day of then being able to visit the school's central office and have a meet and greet session.
Is there was a time you were planning on to meet with them, or?
I thought we were doing 8 AM?
We were thinking that Gordon could
Okay.
give 15, 20 minutes to each candidate, so they could just.
Does 8 make sense, Tracy, for arrival
I
time?
think that, yep, I think 8 makes sense. I think just in particular, I know Dr. Menard wanted to know because, of course, she's going to be coming from Central Massachusetts.
Yep.
That's great.
Okay, and then will come directly to central office through the front door of the high school?
Excellent. Yep.
They could
And
probably check
they
in
know
at
their
the high
way.
school. If they check in at the high school office, we'll have
Yep.
someone walk them down here. How about that?
Sure.
Coordinate that with Frank? Okay. And from there, we'll help coordinate the day on our side that they visit all the schools. And we'll work on that. And then that should be okay for their side. And then we're all set for their visits as well. We're going there this week.
Correct.
West
Yes,
Springfield
I was glad we
tomorrow.
managed to. Thank you to everyone for the emails back and forth. I was glad to have that squared away before we went on break. I know that was reassuring to everyone.
Yep. Okay, so I think we have the logistics, at least in the timing of all the things that are needing to
Yes.
happen.
Can we do the interviews earlier than 5?
Do you want to do them earlier?
I don't know. That's what, we could do it at.
Okay with anything personally, but do we want to think about public that might want to join?
All right,
You know?
okay, you're right. So just,
Yeah.
Maybe even
That's fine.
like a little, or I'm fine with whatever.
Well, 5
but-
would give
All right, that's fine.
time. Okay. All right, we'll stick with those times.
Great.
What else? Oh, just Tracy, in your experience, my thought in terms of deliberating that day, Thursday after the interviews, or the potential of setting another meeting Friday afternoon if needed. Is there a recommendation you'd have one way or the other?
I mean, that's really entirely the prerogative of the committee. I know that I know there are plenty of committees that, they sort of get to that point and they want to make the decision with everything fresh on their mind. I also know that there are committees that prefer to have sort of sleep on it overnight first. That's really entirely kind of a personality of school committee kind of question.
Thoughts from the committee in terms of preference? I suppose we could always schedule the Friday, and then if we don't need it, cancel it. Or not. Preference either way?
I don't know. Do we need a night to think about it?
Yeah, so
I mean,
Tracy-
the only thing, sorry, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair,
go
the only thing I would note is that is a holiday weekend. If you're
Yeah.
planning on potentially meeting on the Friday.
right, no, we would try to do it early, probably like 3:30 would be the earliest we could do it, but
Then again, you're talking about the public might want to tune into that.
well, but that's all right. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
They can watch it later too.
okay.
We would do it here. So Tracy, I think what we'll do is we'll set a 3:30 meeting for Friday. If we were able to deliberate Thursday, we will do it. If not, we will have a posted meeting Friday, 3:30 in this room.
Okay, so that would be the 16th.
Correct.
Do you think we could say that we'll at least start deliberation on Friday, just so we can talk about
Sure.
some of the things that are fresh
Yep.
in our mind, but take away the pressure of having to, like, I don't want us to feel rushed,
Yep.
but I also think if people have things they want to say immediately, that would be
Yeah.
helpful
Yep.
as well. But
Tracy, are you here for the interviews on Thursday? Is that your plan?
Yes, I am.
So you'll
And that was
coordinate-
also part of why I was clearing things up because I would want to be there for the deliberation as well.
So you'll coordinate with the interviewees in terms of greeting them and, okay.
Yep. Yeah, and honestly, even getting them back to the room, unless you're planning on moving the interview to a different room if you anticipate a lot of people coming.
The interview will be in the cafeteria,
Okay.
and they will both be there. So we will have somewhere else to wait, the office or something.
Right, but you're saying it's going to be at Mountain View.
Oh yeah, Mountain View Cafeteria. So that's one of our
okay.
elementary schools.
There's the staff room right across from the cafeteria.
You're gonna wanna do the office.
We want further away.
And Elaine says, yes, it's available.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, Tracy, that works?
Certainly. No,
That'd be
I'm
cool.
glad we cleared that up. And then you would be deliberating presumably back in the room that you're in now?
Thursday, we will, so this is at Mountain View School. We will
Yep.
stay in the cafeteria to deliberate. And if we
Yes.
meet Friday, we will come back to the
Excellent.
central office for this room.
Good to know. Thank you. I'm glad we cleared up location because I would have been directing them incorrectly. So
Yes, no, I'm glad to, all three. We're going to post all three.
Yep.
Or 2 + 1.
Joint meeting and the Thursday.
Yep. Okay. Next we have question topics.
Yes. So would it be helpful for you all if I shared my screen and typed this into a Word doc?
Please,
Okay.
you're able.
I should be able to. All right. There we go. So, I mean, the only other thing that I would say to you all is you may want to cast your mind back to the things that you in particular said that you were looking for that you posted as part of the position description. So things like the level of administrative experience, the conversations we had around communication, those may be things that you want to pursue in terms of questions beyond whatever it is that you already, have been thinking about on your own.
Are we also able to see the questions they've already been asked?
Sure. In fact, let me see.
If you could just send those to us.
Yep. I wonder if I can do that from my phone while we're doing this.
And if we wanted them to present some kind of performance task, how would that happen?
So I first would say that I would recommend against it, insofar as it tends not to be quite as revelatory as people think. But you would want to make sure that they both had it, frankly, as soon as possible. And I would say that that's one where you would want to, as a committee, determine, frankly, right now, that this was something that you wanted and what it was that you were looking for them to do.
Can you give an example of what you're thinking, Antonella? Or?
Kind of looking at our district's data and creating some kind of presentation on using our data and how they would try to increase student achievement and present that to us.
So my question would be, I don't want, well, I don't know, the committee may say something differently, but the body, but how do we avoid one candidate bringing like a packet and the other one kind of not? Can we just say we don't want you to bring anything, or we want you to bring something?
You mean for this?
For the interview. One may come with a portfolio like this is my plan for the next 5 years. And the other one doesn't.
Are you talking about the question that I want to ask?
No, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about in addition to that, how do we?
Oh, okay.
Because then that
How
just,
can we make it so they don't do that? If
I don't
they're
know.
Bringing something, they're bringing something.
Did you tell them ahead of time?
No, not to bring anything?
That's, I think,
that's what I'm asking, like they may come with here's my 3-year plan.
Yeah, but they can bring whatever they want.
Right.
But we're asking them the questions that we want to ask.
I understand that, but if somebody comes with a 3-year plan that none of us are going to read on the spot, how does that look to the then you've got people watching looking like, wow, they came with a plan, and then this other person didn't come with a plan, only to find out that the plan really was no plan.
Tracy, I'm sorry, I don't mean to pivot, but can I go back to Antonella's? And then
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure I ask a follow-up question with what she was asking. Sorry. Tracy, would you be able to, you just mentioned that it's typically not, or I don't know if it's standard practice, but it's not always as helpful as, the committee might think to ask them to do something like that. Are you able to speak on that? Just because I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Sure. I mean, I think that so first of all, there's always the question as to whether or not they're fully informed, that they actually are going to have all of the information that they're going to need in order to give you an effective version of. So for example, the example that you just gave, while obviously there certainly is information that's, available online, your data, there's a certain amount of data that's online, they're not going to know what's currently being done in the district. They're not going to know what evaluations have already been done in the district, what professional development has been done in the district, and so forth. And I think that you may get not only maybe a misleading answer, but you also may find that you have professionals who feel that they can't really give you the kind of answer that they would want to because they simply don't actually have access to all the information that they would really need to give you a real answer.
So it's more performative, you're saying?
It ends up being quite performative, yes. I mean, I've seen people try to give, for example, examples of, tell me what you would do in the situation of some sort of an emergency. And, you're talking to someone who doesn't know what the relationships are in the community. They don't know what kinds of training patterns you're on. They don't know what regular meetings there already are with the district. And so, I mean, you're not, it's beyond having them answer a question cold. It's having them answer a question where they don't actually have all the information that they need to give you what I would think of as, frankly, a professional answer. And it ends up feeling kind of unfair on their part, and like it probably isn't going to give you as much information as you might need on your part.
How about a question around the topic?
I think it tells us other things besides that. That's what
this is at the collegiate level, but almost every single search I've been in for a high level leadership position has involved coming up with between a 15 and 30-minute presentation for lots of different reasons to see. And you're never going to know all the things, but they also, how much did you find and what did you use and what stood out? And so I think you can.
And what kind of plan were you able to put together?
But I've seen those in action. I've seen that at the collegiate level as well. And they end up being like a fall on the face 9 out of 10 times. I understand what Tracy's saying about that. Like it's been, I've seen that, what you're saying, and it's not typically very good.
Heather, do you have something?
Just if I were presented with something like that, I would have so many questions rather than being able to tell you, like Tracy was saying. So it's almost like, what questions would you ask about this? Because if you just have the MCAS data, all the other information, you can't start making a plan if you don't really know the root cause.
Yeah, but I feel like you're able to analyze data, find data, and create a plan with it. I mean, I think that
and also how you
really important. Yeah, I think those are really important skills that you would want them to have.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying this plan would get put into place,
Right.
but I think that them able to do this is showing us other things.
Is the data that you would think they need readily available
Yeah.
to them? And would this be a written response, or you're looking for?
It'd be like a 10-minute presentation or something,
Okay.
and I can put together a question.
After the presentation question, or?
Well, we
like
have to put it together right
Yeah.
now so that they have time to prepare for it. So that when they come in for their interview, they would present this to us.
So like a demonstration.
Yeah, performance task.
I've seen it done on again, on a college level, when you have a teacher, you give them a task and they have to teach a class or do a presentation like that.
I've seen it for like assistant principals and principals as well.
Around this topic?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think do we have to decide on, I thought are we deciding the questions today? Or
This part we should decide because it will require,
And we are deciding the topics too.
Right,
correct,
Yeah.
the topics, but not the questions, because we don't
Right.
want them to know the questions.
but if we want to give the applicants time to
To do
delve
that.
into this.
Performance task, then we have to do it now.
I mean, without sharing the content of the actual screening piece, I mean, I can at least assure you or the body that all the candidates, especially the ones that we actually finalized on, were you could tell they researched. You can tell that they went through the data because they were in their answers to the questions that we were asking. they were referencing many of the things are, our DESI information, our MCAS data. They clearly had done they did a lot of research. I mean,
Without question.
Can we draw the same out of them with questions? Live questions, you don't think? More traditional interview,
I don't think so.
if they're prepared, like
Because,
Liam's saying.
I mean, if you ask them a specific question about our district's data, are they really going to know what it is without looking it up? I don't know if they've memorized it, but
Probably not.
yeah, I feel like
But
that would
is
be,
that what we're asking for, just general answers, or you're looking for more specific based on our actual scores?
they would have to look at our district's data,
Yeah.
which it takes time to do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's more fair of an ask than to just ask them a question about it in an interview and have them come up with something right on the spot about it, especially if they don't even know what you're going to be asking them about. I mean, it's up to them to look at the data, see where there's areas of improvement and making a plan for that.
Is it realistic to ask for a plan from someone who's not here yet? You feel it is?
I think it is. I mean, it's only a 10-minute presentation. I don't know if,
Or to more broadly identify priorities, like what would your priorities be in
yes,
6 months and then in a year based on the data, or not expecting a fully developed plan.
I mean, I guess that's the question. Is that your question more so? What's your 6-month plan? Based on the data, based on our data?
yeah, on how to increase student achievement.
But that question wouldn't draw it out of them, that specific
Have
question.
I seen the question?
Something like that.
I have not been part of anything in a K through 12, sort of leadership role, but I almost every time I've been around some sort of like senior, like this type of level position, I would think you'd want to see how they would present. Yeah, what they would identify as sort of being the priorities, the opportunities. I don't know.
Are they able to speak freely to answer those questions, you think? Because there might be some difficult answers in terms of what we're doing now versus what they're thinking.
But it's their presentation.
It's their presentation, right? I mean,
We're giving you a question
Yeah.
that you have in advance. Do it as you wish. Is there enough, well, I guess there is enough data out there to pull.
So,
I guess the other piece that I don't know is that, are we talking a 60-minute interview, a 90-minute?
60 minutes usually, Tracy, the interview, 60?
Yeah, usually I'd say between 60 and 75. Give yourself a bit of the wiggle room there on the end.
And how
Particularly
many,
assuming that you might want to give them an opportunity to ask any questions they might have of you.
how many questions does that usually entail for an hour?
Between 12, somewhere between 12 and 15.
Okay,
The question is so the 5 of us are asking questions.
correct.
I think the timeline makes it difficult to do something like that. I mean, I don't know.
The hour.
Yeah.
So we're looking-
I just think it's showing us something other than that they can answer questions.
Yeah, I think it limits the
That's why.
amount of questions. We'd have to be strategic then about what we would ask.
Do you know what that question would be?
I mean, it would include a lot of the things that I talked about. I don't have it like completely written out,
Right.
but that would be the gist of it.
Yeah. How to increase student achievement based on past performance and things we can do in the future,
Yes.
something like that.
And realistically, if we're doing that and Ms. Patrilla's using her question time as to do those, then that could work.
Any other thoughts? Amy?
I'm not against it in theory, but I think Tracy has told us that it's not best practice. And so I'm just kind of struggling with that piece because she's probably done this dozens and dozens of times, but, and she's telling us that it isn't best practice.
Tracy, have you seen it in superintendent interviews?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that I say that it ends up not working out is I've usually seen people be, I guess, sort of disappointed in terms of it not being as revelatory as they'd hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been trying to think about in terms of what you've been discussing, do keep in mind you're also going to be visiting their districts. And one of the questions that you might plan to have those visiting have a discussion with, to that point of, have a conversation with those who've worked with them most closely in terms of their use of data, their analysis, their presentation, those kinds of things, to see if you could potentially get sort of those who've seen it done in situ where they actually have access to the data they need, might be one way of getting at some of what you're discussing there.
On page 9, there is a question that says, how would you develop district-wide capacity to assess, analyze, and monitor student performance?
Can you say that again?
From the question packet, there's how would you develop district-wide capacity to assess, analyze, and monitor student performance? So I guess if you wanted to see how they would add specificity to that, we could provide that in advance and ask them to consider that in the context of specific data that.
And we could ask them to review our data specifically ahead of time so that they be prepared for that type of question as an option. What do you want to do? If you want to do it, we'll do it. You decide.
No, it's
about
not
that?
up to me. There's 5 of us. I said
I think
wanted to
I think
do
4
it,
of us are on the fence, and
that's
you're-
fine. But
All right.
I think it's just challenging in the time frame, like in spaces where there's been presentations that's separate from then other interviews that happen throughout the day. So I think it just, I don't know, I feel like it might be challenging.
And Gordon, your interview was just one day, right? It wasn't like you have like a 2-day interview.
No, I came and did the visit like you're setting up, and then we had a separate night similarly for interviews.
Okay.
But I think they had 3 back-to-back.
Interviews.
So you had similar timeframes, 5, 6:30, 7, or 7, 8 o'clock, I guess.
Okay.
Would it be enough if we requested that they review our district data and then you can come up with 2 questions around it and follow up with them?
And be prepared for a specific scenario.
Yeah, I mean, chances are pretty good they're going to watch this meeting anyway, I would think.
I hope they're watching it.
So, I mean, it's going to be out there, but we can, specifically tell them to be more prepared.
Is that something, Tracy, that they would ask, that we could rightfully ask them to be very prepared for questions around our data?
Yeah, I mean, and I think you could even leave it really open-ended if you wanted to get, something that I think probably would be useful is, given that we know that you've reviewed our data, what is it that you particularly would be coming in, wishing to pursue or wanting more information? Like you could get at the question, their ability to analyze the data based on what they do have with a pretty sort of open-ended question, I think, at the interview, if you wanted to. I have, by the way, just while we're talking about it, I've given you sort of the brief sort of synopsis of what each of the questions were that were asked by the search committee here on the screen, just so that you can all see the same thing.
I can't see that.
I'm sorry. Not to change the topic because you're still discussing the data question.
But you can send the committee the actual questions, right? Or,
I can, yes. I realized I was gonna have to scramble to actually find all your email addresses again because I don't have them quickly in one single email because I've been largely piecemealing things. So yes. But I figured since what you're doing tonight is topics, this way you can at least know what topics have actually already been covered for those of you who weren't on the search committee. So in each case, it went into greater length. So particular leadership strengths that you feel speak to the needs of the East Longmeadow Public Schools. How would you promote student success, looking at particularly leadership through curriculum and instruction, and so forth down the line here. In every case, I should note, particularly in deference to Mr. Mackey, that he led the interview by noting that whether or not the question specifically talked about it, that the committee would particularly be looking for examples of where the candidate would be able to speak specifically to their own experiences. So they were looking for examples of where they'd actually already demonstrated. Again, to your point of looking for experienced administrators.
So given all that we discussed, Antonella, would you be okay if we made the request that they review our data? You could come up with 2 questions specific to that, and those would be your 2 questions. I know it's not exactly what you're looking for, but it seems to be the consensus.
about 3 questions, right?
Per person.
Yeah, about 3 questions.
Or 3, you can do 3 on it if you want.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would want to focus all of my questions on something like that. And it was more about knowing if they're able to access the data, analyze it, put a presentation together, because I just feel like those are important skills.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what I would want my other questions to be.
How else should we pick topics for the questions, Tracy? How would you recommend?
I think you probably want to round robin it and just have everybody, put in their 2 cents, and then we can see where that gets you in terms of then everybody sees what everybody has proposed, and you can then see if there's any blanks that need to be filled in, and also if there's anything where people are overlapping.
Do folks have questions they specifically want to ask topic-wise?
I have a question about the questions.
Yes, Anna, please.
Are we still asking questions?
You can ask questions, sure.
Okay.
What would you like to ask a question about?
Oh, I have no idea. I have to think about it.
Okay.
I'd like to hear what everybody else says.
I mean, we've got the 20 topics that she put in her document.
Yep. The ones she just had up?
No, the ones that, when she initially sent the email, the document that Carrie was referring to.
Yep.
So it starts from like page 3 on, and it gives us questions around the district and leadership and management and decision-making, so on and so forth. So I'm assuming we're just picking from these topics.
No. Sorry, Mr. Chair, but that actually is just really meant as a resource for you.
Okay.
And honestly, sometimes meant as maybe a memory nudge so that you don't think of it at 3:00 in the morning later this week after you've already had this conversation. But no, it's up to you. But this would be one where, it's a good opportunity to say, well, I want to make sure that there's at least one question on budget, at least one question on, you've had a solid conversation here about data and use of data. I want to make sure there's at least one question on, relationships with students. And I'm just throwing things out here. This is not even meant as suggestions, but really that level is what you're looking at. And then having that bank can be a resource for people as they're then writing their question. But as far as I'm concerned, you don't have to actually use those at all. That's entirely up to the
I'm a little.
Go ahead, Nick.
I just wrote a few things down before the meeting, maybe, and one of them definitely goes directly with Antonella's, but long-term district vision, like a 3 to 5 year, maybe not specific plan, wasn't what I had, but maybe that could somehow tie in. I had a question, some kind of, the broader topic, obviously, but academic priorities and I wrote evidence-based improvement plan. So again, those two things are kind of tied together. I don't know if they're better. Like, I'm not sure what that looks like in terms of if it's better to present a question beforehand, but I had that as a just potential for a topic for an interview. And then I had one more about like an equity belonging, about closing like the opportunity and achievement gap. And that was kind of three general topics that I wrote about.
Okay, that's 4 actually, right?
4?
Yep.
And I did think questions like, going to internal assessment and data, which is on the list. There's a question around collective bargaining. There's questions around budgeting. And we've been heavily deep in that. And I know it's been a lot easier, especially for somebody like myself coming in only the last year and a half, because, Gordon is very, very, how he's helped us kind of navigate those pieces. But I think that's a lot of experience too.
We add something maybe like staff culture.
Staff. And I would argue one of the things that definitely came out of a question was staff development. That was definitely something that kind of transpired in our general meetings about having staff development skills.
Leadership style.
Yep.
Was something else that I know we definitely learned a lot about with questions on that.
And I know Sam's sitting on a bunch of questions that she wants to ask, but she's.
That's so many.
You have something?
No, I don't. Not right now, no.
There are excellent questions under the student suggestions. And I was thinking more about like, once they identified the buckets, who makes sense to ask those questions, like maybe the students want to ask the student questions.
Yes.
Like
Instruction.
something like how they're actually gonna get the kids like involved with their learning and like actually like want to get up and come to school every day. Like I feel like we need something like that because or like how they can get the entire district like involved with each other. Because like I know we have NHS tutoring for like Birchland and younger kids, but like we don't really have any like district-wide collaboration. Like I'd like to see more of that. So I don't know, maybe.
You can develop a question around that. And
Yeah, sure.
so what we're doing is come up with topics. Obviously, we're not coming up with questions tonight because we don't want to give all the questions out. So if you want to coordinate a question around that, okay.
They
great.
have this packet.
I don't think they have that.
No, we do not.
Maybe we can print that section at least so you can see them.
I can also easily send it to Anna. I don't know that I have both of the students' emails, but I know I have Anna's from being on the search committee.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Yes,
I'm
please
happy to
do.
do that. Yep.
And Anna, can you just forward it to Caitlin?
Yeah.
That'll make it easy. Thank you. So how about the future of education, including artificial intelligence and how it's used in the classroom?
Absolutely.
Yeah, all of it out.
Oh,
Curriculum and instruction. And did you say budgeting already?
you did, yeah.
Maybe special education programs.
I like the idea of decision-making, but I think it's almost covered in some of those questions, how you answer the question.
Yeah. So we're at about 14, I think, unless we start dropping some of these or if others have interesting other topics.
Did someone say communication?
No, you don't have that yet.
No.
That's 15.
Caitlin, did you want to ask a question, you think, or
What topic I would.
what topic? Yeah. Any of these that we've already brought up jump out at you? They're on the screen right there if you want to look at them.
I can do whatever. I can make a question about pretty much any of them, probably.
Is there a student one in there?
And it can still be student-related. Your questions, both can be student-related. They don't necessarily have to be, you pick one topic and she picks another.
Nothing jumping out at you? No. You can think about it still as we get there. I mean, I look at like equity and belonging. It's something you could probably come up with something there. Want to do that?
Yeah. And there's.
We can take that second part out and have it asked somewhere else, the achievement gap.
Okay. I'll put that in brackets for now. Sorry, Caitlin, how do you spell your name? The C? Okay.
CAITLIN.
Carrie, did you have something?
I was just going to say, if they see the packet, there's like some questions related, sample questions related to that would get to like the diversity of the student experience. Okay. They could like take their student question and put it into two different sort of buckets that would.
Great. Okay. Any other topics we want to touch on?
But under the topic of AI, you just put that under technology, right? You didn't really just.
The thing that we said was future of education? Was what Red Kid said?
Yep.
That's here.
Was there anything about our community? Or any of the questions?
Communications, public relations. I think there was.
Like what? What do you mean for community?
I thought I saw something.
I think there's like community engagement, communication type of.
12, 11, 12.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
I missed something.
Do folks want to pick two off the list and we can go from there? I'll get us to 12 questions. And some can pick 3. Just so we have enough. Is there anything on the list, Carrie, that you'd like to take on?
Do we have to decide? In this forum, can we decide on the topics? Do we have to decide on who has the topic?
Yeah, because that person has to write it.
Right, but then.
How else would you know to write a question?
But then they know what kind of question I'm asking.
They already going to know.
You see?
But they have to know. We can't get around it.
No, they have to know the topics, but do they have to know who's gonna be giving them that question from that topic area?
Yes, because we have to decide that so that we can write the question. We have to do an open session. The 5 of us can't collaborate on who's going to ask the question later. So what 2 questions are you going to ask? Is there 2 that you?
Doesn't matter to me.
Antonella?
Doesn't matter.
Come on, somebody's got to pick here.
Let's just assign them.
I mean, you could delegate that authority to the chair. That actually is a fair thing to do if you want to.
I don't want
that to give you more to do,
Mr.
Chair.
I got enough to do with these groups here.
You can also, if you want, you can also delegate that authority to me if you want. And honestly, I'm going to just make it random, just to let you know. So
I'll jump out.
I think we can get it done here.
I think you probably can too.
I'll certainly take the technology question, obviously.
Which one?
The AI question.
Okay, William. What else?
And I am comfortable with, let's go with
Leadership style?
leadership style, yes.
Look at Amy picking for William.
Thank you.
No, I wasn't. I was suggesting you'd be good at that one.
He just delegated, no.
Anyone else want to pick yet?
And do curriculum and instruction.
Curriculum and instruction.
Amy, is that your voice?
That's Antonella.
That's Antonella's voice.
Yeah.
I can't see necessarily you all. Great, thank you.
Is there a second one, Antonella?
Carrie, I know you got a question, because you got stuff highlighted.
I did.
Come back.
I liked some and all of them though. So
What do you have, Carrie?
I can take something related to staff development.
Staff culture or staff development? Mm-hmm. You want to do development and culture? Can you fit that into one or no? Why not, right?
Sure.
See, getting stuff done.
I could do budget and SPED programs.
You want what? I'm sorry.
Budget and SPED programs.
Well, 2 different questions?
Yeah.
I could do 2 different questions, yeah.
Or if you want to do Special ed programs, I could do budget.
Okay.
Okay. So Antonella on special ed programs and Greg on budget.
Okay.
We still have assessment data. We have academic priorities, long-term vision, evidence-based improvement plan, equity and belonging we got already.
You do the assessment data one.
Yeah, you should do that. Antonella, assessment and data.
I'll take.
We just have, Amy hasn't gotten any
I don't
yet.
care. I'll take whatever's left. I don't care.
Do we even have communication?
Yep, it's right here on the bottom. I added it.
Okay, so that's Carrie on communication. We have long-term vision, academic
I'm
priorities,
gonna squeeze that in. right there.
collective bargaining, what?
Communication. Did you write
Oh,
that?
I didn't put it in there. It's Carrie. Collective bargaining, district student involvement, or one of them take that, yeah. So we have long-term vision,
I'll do that
academic
one.
priorities.
Can I do that one?
Yeah, Amy has long-term vision. Louise, come on. And academic priorities?
It's fine.
Okay.
Are we going to roll evidence-based improvement into the assessment question, data question?
I can try to include it in there.
Do we have anything with like
One
DEI
another question.
belonging in there?
We have,
The student bucket.
Okay.
If they don't, do you feel comfortable asking a student question around that?
Yeah.
yeah, we have equity and belonging.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And that still requires us to write 3 questions per person.
Yes.
Well,
So
did someone take collective bargaining? I'm sorry.
No, no one did yet. Do we have too many questions though, Tracy?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No, I think you're good. You did some merging there as you were
Yeah, we
doing
did.
it. So.
I think an explicit question about DEI and inclusion would be helpful if the group.
Amy's doing DEI and inclusion?
No, I was
Yeah, you
just
are.
suggesting that.
No,
fuck is
you're in. Let's think of how we phrase
Censor
that.
it? No. Absolutely.
Okay, don't. And then I could do collective bargaining. I only have one.
Great.
Greg.
So does this list look like your list? Long-term vision, academic priorities, DEI inclusion, Amy,
Collective bargaining.
equity and belonging for Caitlin, assessment data, evidence-based improvement plans for Antonella, collective bargaining and budgeting 2 questions, Greg, staff culture and staff development for Carrie, leadership style, William, student involvement and learning and district-wide collaboration, Anna, future of learning, including AI use, William, curriculum instruction, Antonella, special education programs, Antonella, and communication, Carrie. Is that what everybody else has? And I can save this, by the way.
How many do you have, Carrie?
So does relationships and public
Get 3?
relations?
Yeah, do you want one?
Nope. I was just making sure you had enough. Go ahead, Pam.
I
Sorry.
was just making sure that relationships and public relations, is that covered under like communication?
Yeah, get it. Okay. And then is someone going to review the full list so we have like, typing on each other? How are we going to do
Yes.
this?
So what I would do is I would ask that, what I was going to ask you all to set a deadline such that I then can copy these for you ahead of the interviews. So can we say like, have them to me by Monday, send them to me and to Greg. And then what we'll do yes, to that point, make sure that even though you've got different topics, you're not somehow still asking the same question.
Right. Yeah, Monday afternoon.
Yep.
Yep.
That would be great.
Is that good for everyone? Okay. Homework for the weekend.
Of course.
Okay, I think we've tackled the topics for the questions.
You have. Well done.
Are we going to need like an opening and a closing kind of thing for the interview?
I mean, what I would suggest, Mr. Chair, is that you essentially give them an opportunity to make an opening statement and give them an opportunity to make a closing statement.
Okay.
And then whatever you decide to do, it would need to be consistent. Decide if you're going to then give them the opportunity to ask you questions at the end of the interview.
Would you suggest that?
I think it can be useful. I mean, most of them will use it. At this far along, you're not going to just get the what are you looking for in a superintendent, which you sometimes will get if you try to do this earlier. You might get something useful out of that, and it also might give you some further perspective on kind of where they're at in terms of both the district and their relationship with East Longmeadow.
Okay, makes sense. Any other questions for Tracy? I think we're in good shape in terms of all our timelines. And anything else, Tracy, we need to know?
I think the only other question I had was, would you all find it useful if I were to put together a feedback form to have available next week for those who meet the staff members? I would do it based on the list of things that you said that you were looking for. So it wouldn't be like an open-ended, what do you think? It would be, here are the things the school committee said that they were looking for. Based on what you saw, what was your impression of the candidates? But that's up to you. And I would have that available for you then ahead of your interviews on Thursday.
And this would be for staff members to complete that form?
Yep. And
Okay.
also, I mean, you could open it up to, if they met students and also for people who met them at the meet and greet. One of the things I always do is say, exactly when did you meet them, so that we do some screening out of, like, this isn't just you Googled them, but you met them.
Do we have a time for that meet and greet, Pam? Do we coordinate that yet? We're going to do the meet and greet at the end of the day when they're here. Is that the plan?
That would be the idea, yes. So if they're starting their day in the central office with the superintendent and potentially with central office, presumably they cycle then through the schools.
Yep.
You might decide to have them end up in a place that's convenient for that. Just make sure we give them a breather and make sure that we give them time to eat.
The last school we could potentially do it at? That's what you're thinking?
You could, unless you want to bring them back to the high school. But I also know that depending on what else is going on there, that may not be the best location
Right.
after school.
Just keep it at the last school.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And we're going to go high school, Birchland, Maple Shade, Mountain View,
And
Meadowbrook.
Meadowbrook.
And how long is that day? Is that the whole school day? Are we planning for them?
It should be the whole school day. Yep.
Okay. So we'll coordinate those times.
And you can also think about, like, is there someone you want them to have, a chance to eat lunch with?
Yeah, Amy's having lunch with them.
Okay.
Yep. And anyone else who wants to. Right? Didn't you say that?
Yes.
Yes, she did.
I would be, because
Would
I'm
they-
not going to anything else, so I said I'd be happy to sit here with them if they're coming back here. Yeah.
So don't make it a quorum of the school committee.
No, we don't.
Okay.
Excellent.
Hence Amy will be there. Yeah.
Do you have
And Sam.
any sort of like template or rubric for us that are going to their districts?
So if you go in that same question packet that I sent you, there
I saw
are
the questions. Yeah, I
Okay.
just was curious as if there was a rating system, or I don't know.
Like a rubric.
Yeah.
What I would do is, if you want, I can send you the rubric the search committee used, which really just puts into rubric form what it is that you voted as what you were looking for. Because that might be something that you then could potentially even sort of turn into questions or be considering as you're having conversations over the course of your day.
Yeah, that would be helpful, I think.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you.
Anything else for Tracy today? We're good? Okay, Tracy, I think we are in good shape. We will look to see you next week.
Yes, you'll see me for the interviews. And then if you decide to also have an additional deliberation day, I'll be there for that as well.
Great.
Great.
Okay. Well, thank you for zooming in for us tonight, and
Sure.
got a lot done. So thank you, Tracy. We'll see
Good
you
work,
soon.
all. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
That was impressive, the car.
Yeah,
She was in her car, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good discussion. Thank you all for that. Moving forward, we have 5.2.1, a beginning discussion of the FY27 budget development. And just as a precursor, reminder that the school committee and town council will be meeting next Tuesday, January 13th at 6 p.m. for our annual budget discussion that's required by the charter. So put that on your calendar.
Perfect. I would like to pass out a revised page 2 to the document. I found an error on there. So I wanted to make sure everybody out here knew, and also you guys get it. But to start off, we did receive the FY27 budget memo from Kim Collins, the town finance director. The instructions there are to submit a level services budget. So as everyone knows, a level services is different from a level funded. So we want to move everybody forward and keep all the services that we have and see what percentage that ends up at. So what I wanted to do is just to remind everybody of our revenue and our expenditures. So our revenue sources, we have Chapter 70, which is the state aid and is determined through the foundation budget formula. We will not know the FY27 preliminary Chapter 70 numbers until Governor Healy puts those out, which is usually the third week of January. So I wanted to remind everyone of what those Chapter 70 numbers have been here. So I listed them out, and you'll see that last year, or actually our current year, about $15.5 million came from Chapter 70. What you will notice on the next chart is that as Chapter 70, as the revenues are coming in, what is happening is the Chapter 70 percentage is decreasing so that the local contribution, which is the next revenue source, is actually increasing. So, this is all due to the formula, and there's been a lot of conversation about this because how can districts continue to maintain these increases? So there's a lot of conversations about that. And so the local contribution, of course, is what the town actually budgets for the school department. And what you will see in that white section of that chart is that is where the school department budget has increased each year. And so over the past 3 years, on average, we've been 3.46% increase, which is not so bad. But what you will see, like I said, in the green there is the Chapter 70, and you'll see those percentages are actually going down, and in the blue is the local contribution, and those percentages are going up for the town. So these are things that the town will most likely be talking to us about, right? Because we're just one of the departments under the town. So we always take that, into consideration. Grants is our next source of revenue. The grants listed below are the non-competitive entitlement grants that we receive each year. And as you will see, I put down FY24, 25, and 26. And that's the revised page I gave you. I did not have the title grants, those first 3 grants listed accurately for FY26. So what I wanted to show you is that they stay pretty consistent from year to year. They're not usually drastically different, and we do, utilize these as part of our budget process as well. The next section are the revolving accounts. These are separate accounts for specific revenues and earmarks them for expenditures for particular purposes. The ones that we really use to help with the budget is the athletic revolving. That helps with the athletic program, which is about $500,000 to run the athletic program. Tuition revolving, that offsets the preschool program because that's the revenue we get from the preschool peer payments. Circuit breaker, that's the special ed out of district tuitions that we offset those with. Transportation revolving, we take about $100,000 to apply towards the transportation expense. And lastly, the school choice. And as we all know, we are relying very heavily this year on the school choice with about $350,000 to $450,000 being expended for all of the supplies. So that is a conversation we're going to have because we won't have that amount of revenue coming in. So
We know the balance to roll over? Yep.
I do. When I get to it, it's down a little bit. Yep. So the tuition revolving account, I just wanted to remind everyone that is for the preschool peer partner tuition payments. The half-day fee is $2,500, the full-day fee $6,300. The account will continue to support the preschool program. The little chart I had there is off a line from the left side to the right side, so I apologize. That's the starting balance, then the revenue. See what I mean? Yeah, I apologize. So we are paying for a teacher out of there, the part of a program coordinator, and 2 paras. And for this current year, it's 2 paras, not just 1. So what I anticipate in the tuition revolving account is at the end of this year to have an approximate balance that we can roll over of $188,000.
$81,000 in revenue for the year?
Yes,
That's it?
that was it last year.
After you pay for things though, with it?
That's like
That's the revenue, that's the peer role models.
14 full-time students, full-day students. That's it?
That's it. Some of it could be in the timing of
Remember
of
last year,
payments.
we had more half-day sections. We could not fill all the half-day sections for the peer
Yep.
role models, which is why we went to adding the other full day.
So how many slots do we have for peer role models in general?
I was gonna say 14, but I don't know if that's, yeah,
Huh.
yeah,
Okay, I thought we had more.
I believe.
I mean, that
that's
makes
it.
sense math-wise, so.
I can double check it for you. And I just want to also remind you that what can happen and does happen is that a student will come in as a peer role model, but then they'll end up actually needing services. They get an IEP and so the tuition stops. So, it's hard to predict those. So I always stay conservative when I bring that forward to you. The next revenue source is your special education circuit breaker revolving account. Just as a reminder, the districts get up to 75% of the special ed costs that are eligible that exceed the per pupil threshold, and that threshold for this current year is $53,431. So it's just those expenditures that are eligible that go above that then we get that reimbursement back. We wanted to remind you that in FY24, OSD, Occupational Services Division, oversees the tuition fees for all of the private schools, so they set those rates. And just as a reminder, because it was pretty significant to all districts across the state of Massachusetts, in FY24, they increased the rates by 14%. That was huge, and it really had as you can imagine, huge impact on all the districts. FY25, it was 4.7%. FY26, our current year, 3.67%. Next year, it's going to be 3.04%. So
Just to add to that, well, one, the 14% that was coming out of COVID, not justifying it, but the way they presented it was that they had capped it. There were no increases during the 2 years that we were dealing with COVID operations. But even with the 14%, looking at the 4.7, the 3.67, and then the 304 that was approved for next year, and these out-of-district institutions will raise their tuitions to that level. Our Chapter 70, if you go back to that first page in the green, has been growing at 1.2% and 1.7%. So we're not keeping up from that standpoint, which then puts us into a more challenging discussion with the town, because the town, obviously, we're one department out of all the departments, and so it's, one revenue source, if you will.
good point. So the district carried over $925,000 from FY25 into FY26. As of right now, we're projecting there will be approximately $900,000 to carry over into FY27. Our goal is to try to not spend one full year's, revenue, but we haven't been able to do that for a few years now. So we are hoping eventually to get to that point. Does that answer your question, Greg, when you asked? Okay. The next one is the school choice revolving account. That is, so sorry. School committee, school choice is funded $5,000 per pupil, plus there is a reimbursement, excuse me, for any special ed costs. So those are very hard to predict. You don't know those till at the end of the year. So I always stay very conservative and give you just the base $5,000 amount. What I do want to make note of is on that chart there, I gave FY25 at 36.7 students. And FY26, I added the 20 students that you voted on for this current year. But the reality is that is not really an accurate number because students have graduated this last year. The Sims numbers are not, that Desi hasn't put all that together to put out a new chart for FY20. So that will change. I'm going to guess at maybe 4 or 5 students. Also, if any students excuse me, leave the district, we don't know that information right away. So again, I've just projected out the minimum amount there of the $5,000, which I'm confident that you will at least get that amount. So over in the middle there of the chart, you'll see FY25, we carried over $358,000. The projected revenue is $283,500, and I do believe that's a low number, so I think it'll come in higher, giving us $642,000. However, that's before using the school choice for the supplies that I've already talked about. So I'm saying, okay, we're probably going to use $350,000. That will leave us $292,000 to roll over in that account. And I believe that to be like the worst case scenario. So I'm hoping that the supply expenses will come in under that, $350,000.
At least we're carrying a year over, so we're not
Yes, agreed.
much higher earlier. but-
Yeah. So then we go on to our expenditures. I'm going to,
May I add one? Oh,
sure.
School choice, just something that's not on the chart, but you've seen charts in years past where it's a bar chart showing how many students are going out via school choice and how many students are coming in. So, and they've only updated that based on last year, similar to what Mrs. Blair was talking about. It takes DESE almost the entire year to sort out after the 3 SIMS submissions, October, March, and June, to figure out finally, okay, how much money are you getting, how many school choice do you have, so forth. It doesn't mean that the payments aren't coming in, it just means when they finalize that, there may be students who go back to their district that, the individual building will know about, but we in central office would not necessarily know about that. But the point that I was going to make is that we had 36.7 students, according to DESE, under school choice coming in. We had 35 students, according to DESE last year, going out. So depending on where we stand with the vote last year to approve 20 additional slots, hopefully that balance now swings much higher to East Long Meadow. But we don't know until they give us those final numbers in terms of how many are going out. But it was 35 last year.
Good point. So now we go on to the expenditures. Just to remind you, our current budget is $36,895,004. The salary side of the budget is approximately 80% at $29.7 million. There are many moving pieces to the school department budget that must be taken into consideration. There are contractual obligations for the following bargaining units that affect the operating budget. We have Unit A, that's your teachers. There are 244.6 employees on the salary chart listed below. I've shown you, given you the chart so that you can see where those rates are. Excuse me. FY27 will be the third year of their 3-year contract. 73% of the employees are on the top step currently. There is a 2.75% increase in FY27. The other 27% that are not on the top step actually end up getting more like a 6 to 7% increase because of the shifting in the columns, going down a column and then the actual 2.75% on top of that. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody understands that? Currently, there are 8 teachers that are retiring. 2 at Meadowbrook, 1 at Mapleshade, 4 at Birchland Park, and 1 at the high school. And there is 1 nurse retiring at Mapleshade School, not until November, but she is retiring. Those folks we always put into the charts as I'm working on all of the salary charts. I'm sorry, I'm very dry tonight. We put in a master step 8, which is $76,172. Always trying to, reap some benefits there through attrition. The next one, we have Unity. Those are your paraprofessionals. We are in negotiations. We will be starting that in the very near future. So the chart that you see here is the current FY26 chart. I have 99 FTEs for the paraprofessionals. As I said, this is the 3rd year of the contract. It will be in negotiations. There's only 1 Birchland Park para retiring this year. Secretaries Association, there's 19 secretaries in the bargaining unit. They are in their 2nd year of a 3-year contract. There was 1 Mapleshade secretary retiring on June 30th, and that position will be placed, of course, at the Tier 1 hourly rate here in that chart. The next one, your custodians. There's 18 custodians in this bargaining unit. They are always on the same schedule as the secretary, so they too are in their 2nd year of a 3-year contract. There are 2 Meadowbrook custodians retiring next year, the head custodian in September and the 2nd custodian in November. I'm sorry, what's that?
Mountain View Secretary.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, there is 1 secretary. Did I say Mapleshade?
Yes.
I'm sorry. She is so right. It's Mountain View Secretary. Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So then we have administration. There's 15 administrators, 4 central office clerical staff with individual contracts. 5 of these contracts expired on June 30th, 2026. We'll be in negotiations with those 5. Employment at will agreements. There are currently 11 employee at will agreements with individuals performing services for IEP compliance. Some of these agreements are only for a few hours and others are up to 35 hours. It depends on the IEP needs. So those are always looked at year to year. The expense side of the budget is 7.2 million or 20%, approximately 20% of the budget. I put the sped chart here, special ed. I wanted you to see all of the operating budget lines that's FY26. And I guess what I really would like you to hone in on is that total for the operating budget is $4.5 million. And remember, up here at the expense side, we have 7.2 million in total. So that only leaves 2.7 million for everything else. I'm projecting, as I said, to carry over $900,000 into FY27. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. The next one is digital licenses. Those approximately, I think it's about $60,000 is actually School Choice is funding some of this here. I just gave that to Mrs. Brown, and she just sent it back to me, and we need to go over that to figure out for FY27 if there's items that we need to add or get rid of. So we analyze those there. And of course, those typically go up 3 to 5% each year. So we have to take that into consideration as well.
Pruning back and things that are, we don't have anything that, 2 different software that do the same thing, that doesn't exist. Our data platform is half the price that our last data platform. So we really are trying to be as fiscally conservative with these licenses, knowing that a lot of them are tied to curriculum and you cannot use the curriculum unless you buy those licenses.
Yeah, thank you. Lower Pioneer Valley, LPVEC, as you know, the 7-member districts, they offer the services for career and technical education, special ed, transportation, and Medicaid reimbursement. We did just get the preliminary budget, which I've listed here to show you. It's anticipated to go up about $120,000. What I do want you to know is that this is not a firm number yet. It is a draft number, but it is what I'm going to use for now. There are discussions with LPVEC regarding, I'm asking questions because they've reduced our regular needs transportation down by a bus next year, which on the one hand is great if it's lower, however, if it's lower expense, but I really want to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for failure. So I'm asking questions. So that may go up. Well, exactly. So
drivers?
Right.
Yes, Greg, that's.
How come we're getting the short end though? There's other districts that are.
We are probably not getting the short end.
Right, we're not.
Into like.
Ludlow.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Ludlow and East Milburn probably get the short end on a daily basis.
They have harder time getting drivers out there, so we typically don't. However, I want to really understand why they're reducing us and make sure, because otherwise if we're going to have overcrowded buses and kids are going to get to school late. So the other thing they increased, which makes perfect sense to me, the career tech bus to by 0.5. So we're probably going to share a bus with Long Meadow because
sharing the bus.
we had our own bus, but now we have 70 students.
We have more kids.
We have more.
Yeah, 1.5.
We had a bus and a half.
Yes.
Oh.
They're increasing it by a half a bus for career tech, or reducing the regular needs. And then on top of that, they're also requesting to add an assistant principal for career tech. And there was a lot of discussion between the business managers and superintendents about, is that really needed? I mean, we can't add staff, so.
We shut it down last year.
So I think the board is going to have to vote on it, and we were asking a lot of questions. Superintendents want some more data, on the why. And so again, this is the picture right now, but that could change, and I'll just keep you in the loop of that. So the conclusion, as you can see, there are many moving parts of the school department budget. We're in the process of moving the personnel. I'm just about done with that. I'm not comfortable to give a percentage. Greg always tries to get me to, but I'm just not quite there yet. What I can tell you is it's definitely more than 3%. That is definite. We've begun to schedule meetings with
Services is more than 3%?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that I'm confident to say. We continue to analyze the special ed expenditures. We'll have more detailed information at the next school committee meeting. And then I put down there, again, reminding you what our budget number is and what every 0.5% actually, what increase, that's $185,000 for every 0.5%. As a reminder, last year, the town council approved a 2.5% increase to the school department.
I forgot that.
So, any questions on anything right now?
On our way.
Yeah.
So we're going to share this with the leadership team. You know, we wanted to get discussion here first and hear any thoughts that you may have. Obviously, we want to hear what the town has to say in the joint budget meeting next week. Then we'll, similar to last year, when we have a better idea of where the town might be, we'll start to put strategies together to see where we are in terms of, once we know what level services will be, what the town might be able to offer. Last year was 2.5, and then see, you know, if there's a deficit there that we have to deal with.
But we're not presenting all of our numbers because we don't have them.
We don't have them, correct.
I think it's just a very general conversation, is the way it's gone in the past, just in terms of where they think the town is at this point, what their instructions have been to departments in terms of building their budgets and presenting them to first the town manager and the director of municipal finance. And then ultimately, town manager has to put together an entire draft budget, which ultimately will go to the town council. But during all that time, there's a lot of discussion between the school department and the town manager and municipal finance director.
So it's written right in the charter that the school department, the budget for us starts with the meeting between the town council and the school committee. So it's a formality. But as I said, the town finance director sent out the budget memo for level services. She expects the departments, we're usually different. She knows that we're just different. We need more time, for the school committee to approve what they're going to then submit. She has asked the other departments, though, to turn it in. I believe it's January 16th. So I've started to really delve into this. I spent a lot of time over this last week. So I'm getting there. I feel the next meeting, I will definitely have the number for you.
And as you know, our budget's different than other town departments. Because of ed reform, our budget goes directly to the council as a legislative body. We work with the town manager so that we can get the town manager's recommendation of our budget, which is really what we want. Because without that, we're fighting an uphill battle. But our budget goes directly to the council versus the other town departments go through the town manager, technically speaking.
And it does make,
for that, for really, it's a real thing, yeah.
I was just going to say, it makes sense to hold on certain projections until you at least get the governor's budget, because that has a Chapter 70 proposal in it. That's generally what most school departments then look at. Okay, this is what we're probably dealing with. It may go up. It did last 2 years go up, but that was when the Ways and Means Committee increased it. Generally, they're going to increase it by a certain dollar figure, at least the last couple of years. Per pupil is basically how they do it. And like $30 per pupil will increase the Chapter 70 by another $30 per pupil, which sounds like it might generate a ton of money, but when you're dealing with
185.1.
Correct.
That's all it gave us.
$35 million budget, it's only about another 185.
And that was $60.
It's difficult to make the case to correlate with Chapter 70 because it goes up some years, but some years it goes down.
1 year it went up $2 million, if you look.
Correctly, because then we'd have to ride the wave.
Right.
So be aware that Chapter 70 number can come in high and we're thinking, oh, it's great. It doesn't really affect us all the time because once we start to correlate it, then we have to ride that wave every year. We'd be cutting, adding. So unfortunately, the state can't fund us, like this, which would make budgeting easier. But
And they take in consideration the amount of cuts that we had to go through last year.
Who takes into consideration?
Town.
That's
Hopefully.
That's what we've at least started the discussion with.
Okay.
Yep.
But certainly that's something that is, by reducing 20 staff members last year, I think we were the only department to reduce staff.
we were.
And that's my point, like.
Every department cut. That's not to say that departments didn't. But given the amount of our budget, if you're cutting a certain percentage. Last year, I think we were cutting close to 3%, or higher.
I think so.
You can only get so far with, revenue changes. Eventually it becomes staff, because we're staff heavy, it's 80% of the budget.
Yeah.
How many students did you say had left the district before with school choice?
35 last year going out via school choice.
Via school choice, so that's negative, right? So that's something else to think about. How do we keep and bring back all of those students, because every kid is more revenue,
True.
right?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it's Chinese immersion probably, right?
You have some out at the Chinese immersion, but you do have some in Long
That wouldn't
Meadow.
be
You do
school
have
choice,
some
it's a
in
charter school.
Wilbraham. You have some at, actually it might be a charter school, you're right on, in terms of what's it, Pioneer Valley?
Performing arts,
Yeah, performing arts.
another charter school, but yeah.
Which is a different funding formula. If they leave for a charter school, it may not be $5,000, actually maybe more.
Wow, okay.
Maybe
Charter
they're high
schools
school.
get more
Right.
of your Chapter 7 funding if they leave. Yeah, so in that case, you almost prefer school choice for it to be a charter.
Right. Okay. Anything else? And Caitlin, doing it all right on time? Good still? Okay. All right, any other questions on the budget? We will see everyone next Tuesday.
You have two gifts.
Thanks.
I know,
Oh, okay.
just on the budget.
We're wrapping it up.
I know,
No, we had.
motion to adjourn. I gotta get dinner here soon. Okay, moving right along. Thank you, Pam, for that beginning of the budget.
You're welcome.
We have a fall 2025 commission check from Grin and Barrett in the amount of $1,057.75. Would someone please move to accept that, please?
To accept the fall 2025 commission check from Grin and Barrett in the amount of $1,056.75 to the Maple Shade gift account.
Motion made by Amy, second by William. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Carries 5-0.
Accept the fall 2025 commission check from Grin and Barrett in the amount of $2,043.41 to the Birchland Park Middle School.
Motion made by Amy, second by William. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That carries 5-0.
Great, we'll get that deposited, those deposited, thanks.
Taking a lot of pictures these days, it looks like, huh?
Yeah.
Money.
Yes.
Purchasing the Premier pack.
For everybody having digital, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, moving along, we have 6.1, discussion of draft calendar for the 26-27 school year.
Okay, so at our last meeting, the year of 2025, and the year of 2026, we had a draft calendar. We had some initial feedback at that point from the leadership team. Basically, this is the same calendar that we've been utilizing for the last probably 3, if not 5 years. At that time, we had reduced some of the half-days that were used for professional development down to 1 half-day, which now still sits in September for professional development. Then, since our last meeting, we did have the collaborative, the ELEA and ELPS Collaborative Committee take a look at the calendar. They were comfortable with the calendar. The one recommendation which they've offered in the past is to take the January Professional Development Day, which currently sits in 2027 at January 27th, and possibly move it to March, either that first week, March 3rd, or that second week, March 10th. The reasoning is that you do only have 2 days with January 1st and then January 18th days off. This spreads it out a little bit more, allows you to start getting momentum in January. And then March, you do have 1 day off there in this calendar with Good Friday, but March is relatively untouched.
Are you recommending one or the other, Gordon, or?
I mean, there are arguments for probably both. The original thought process was that November and January give us the opportunity to sort of build off some of the things that we've been doing as we start the school year and we have that first work/professional development day, and utilize a lot of what we're doing with professional development in the current year. And so that's where January still gives you February, March, April, May, and a little bit of June, depending on the calendar. This calendar actually takes you deep into June 21st. The discussion that took place at the collaborative committee was that, it's really twofold in that professional development certainly is for that current school year, but it's for continuing growth and building skills for the long haul, so to speak, in more than just one school year. And so there are certain things that even if you learn them on March 3rd, you could probably utilize in the remaining school days in March, April, and May, and a couple weeks and 3 weeks in June. But you're also building skills for future years. So that's what the discussion basically consisted of during the collaborative meeting.
Heather, how has attendance been? Because I know last year during some professional days, we were struggling with some teacher attendance.
Much better in November.
It was, we went somewhat from construction standpoint, but also in working with the collaborative committee, we went back to a building-based reporting system. We did have a through line of professional development in the morning around special education, but then we tried to build workshops that were more along those grade levels at each building, and that seemed to help us with attendance. I don't know if it's because we were forcing everybody to come to a presentation and at least have the morning at the high school. I think last year we did one of the days where after the morning they went back to their buildings, but so we tried something different. Construction also helped because this building, as I'm sure our two students can attest to, sometimes shakes periodically throughout the day based on what's going on with the construction. And parking's more challenging now until we get the new parking lot up and running.
So does the school usually plan that PD day in January or March, or is it?
It's a combination of the leadership team and building on what the principals feel that they need. So we build the whole calendar together, more or less.
It'd be so nice if you could use the new high school next year.
I think we
For that, and keep folks together even. The preference.
want to come see the new building.
Yeah, sometimes the preference is to be back in your building, but it might be nice to build a little something into the calendar.
We're trying to do a convocation here, but I don't know if that will happen for next year.
Nobody will be able to just stay in the back because there's not as many seats
True.
in the auditorium as there was in
Yeah.
the previous
You
one.
can set it up in the new cafeteria, which would be
That's true, or the large meeting space.
nice. A little bit more specifically to the question you asked, the September half is almost entirely planned by the buildings. So that's keeping their momentum and that with their staff. And then we try to build with input the two, or really three, if you take that August day, the November day, and the January day.
So do we want to answer that question of January or March? Today?
If the collaborative committee is asking for it to be in March, do we think that attendance would be better in March?
That's a hard question to answer. I don't think we necessarily discussed attendance as much. I thought their big recommendation last year around attendance was if we tried to at least have people report back to their home buildings, that we might increase attendance. At least through November, we have an increase versus last year. So we'll see how January goes. We're in January, so we'll see in the next few weeks how that goes.
I also think that having the PD day in March, you get into a lot of testing in March and May and June. So I'm not sure what they're doing during that PD day that they're actually going to be able to practice. And I mean, get data to see if what they're practicing is actually working, because you are focused on so many other things that are happening.
Yeah, the assessment schedule does pick up quite incredibly.
And the PD really has, a lot of it has been focused on curriculum implementation. So if you are doing this stuff and then there are test dates, then you're not.
It's hard to implement.
Yeah.
So do we want to do January then? Still? Leave it there? Any objection to that? Speak now, never hold your peace.
I think Antonella's point about putting it in March and being disruptive to the testing, potential testing schemes.
Heather, that makes sense to have in January still?
Yeah, I mean, the MCAS window for the elementary starts mid-March, so.
All right, keep it in January then, that's the consensus. Were we looking for approval for this, or we have things to work on?
This is all we have in terms of adding, at least from the groups that we.
Yep. We have a
share
half day for the day before Christmas Eve and a half day before Thanksgiving, right, for both staff and students?
Right.
Yep. Which is a change.
Yeah,
Staff.
the change is staff.
Yep.
For which days?
December 23rd and November 24th,
Fifth.
25th, sorry.
They're changed?
No, they're both half days.
They're half days for students, but not specifically for staff.
Oh.
In practice, they.
Oh,
take
okay.
half days, we're just making it official.
Oh.
Any other questions on the calendar? If not, we.
Oh, so that is changed then.
That's what I'm saying. They're officially half days.
Well, the November one is contractual.
That's always been.
in the contract.
Yep.
The December one has been traditionally a half day for students and in practice has been a half day for staff. It's not necessarily written in the contract.
Any other questions on the calendar? Are folks ready to approve it? If so, I would take a motion to that effect. As presented. Or not? You want to wait? Crickets. We losing you, Carrie?
No.
You should have gotten that coffee, shouldn't you?
I'm here.
Does somebody want to move to accept the calendar? Yeah.
Set the calendar for the 2026-2027 school year as presented.
Motion made by Amy,
Second.
second by Carrie. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. That carries 5-0.
Thank you.
I just have one other timely thing, as we talk about wrapping up the year and Gordon eventually leaving us. I was wondering if you'd be willing to do like an official opening of the auditorium of the high school before you leave? The new high school?
The new high school?
Yep, so like in June, if we could set a date to do an official opening, just so we have a reason to celebrate together.
Okay.
Okay, is that all right with the committee? And if so, I'd like to take a motion to create a plaque to commemorate the time of the opening of the East Long Meadow High School auditorium, being opened on such a date in June by Superintendent Gordon Smith with his years of service underneath that. If that's all right with the committee. So I'm going to take a motion to that effect so we can make that official. I was going to do it without you, but you have to be here for it.
So we're naming the auditorium.
No, East Long Meadow High School
After
auditorium.
Gordon. Wait, what?
He's going to open it, and we're going to put his name on the wall
Okay.
with his years of service.
How many years of service are there?
This is my 16th year.
16 years, it's worth putting on the wall, come on.
That's like 2 years less than how old I am.
Definitely deserves a plaque. Someone want to make that motion?
We'll go out together.
It's a long motion.
So moved. So moved, thank you, William. And
Second.
second by Amy. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Nice.
it'll be fun. We'll have a party. We might still be wearing hard hats, but it'll be fun.
We have a ribbon with the giant
Yeah,
scissors.
that's big scissors, big scissors.
Yeah.
Okay, exciting. With that, we have come to the conclusion of our meeting. If there's nothing else to discuss, I would entertain someone to move to adjourn. Motion made by Antonella, second by William. Discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed nay. That motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We are adjourned.